Welcome to Raphael Podcast. This is another episode, a special episode. We are here at Jami Masjid in the Saaduna House. And here with me today is my brother, Asad. I met him last night, and it was probably about 2 a.m. where we were doing some dicker. And you were giving me a quick lesson on frankincense.
Mm-hmm.
So frankincense was our entry point into conversation and our entry point into aromatics. And I was prior to meeting you, literally, I had read something about frankincense and how you can eat it, the medicinal quality of eating it. And you were sharing with me because another brother, Muhammad Noor, came up to me and showed me a vial just like this and said, I'm not going to disclose how much he told me that you were selling these for. But regardless, I needed to grab some. And then when I came to you and approached you, you told me that this was the highest grade frankincense that you could get, which is exactly what I was looking for, because in my research, they were saying that high-grade frankincense you could actually chew or consume orally. So, Brother Asad, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining me, and I am looking forward to this master class. Ultimately, what I wanted to do in purchasing these vials, all three of these I got, and they are gifts. But I didn't want to just give these to the people that I intend to, that I love. I wanted to be able to share with them some valuable information on the product that I was giving them. And I asked you if you'd be willing to podcast and share a little bit of your knowledge, which is extremely extensive in the aromatics space. You've been extremely humble, but you are knowledgeable. And you've spent time and you've done the work learning. I feel like this is at least one of your crafts, and I can tell that you treat it as such. You treat it as a craft, as an art. You approach it as a science. You know of many of the medicinal qualities and properties of all of these things that you sell, from the incense to the oils. You had rose oil, smelled phenomenal. 100% extract or essential oil, and you had a bunch of information about the medicinal benefits of that oil, patchouli, to name a few, and the wood, which I can't quite remember the name of the wood, but I'm going to let you get into all of that. So again, Brother Asad, welcome to the podcast.
Brother Raphael, first and foremost, thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa yakum.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. You know, I'm very happy to be here. I'm glad to be given the opportunity to share some of the things that I've learned over the years. You know, I've been collecting information, and I've not yet had an opportunity and had an outlet and a way to express and share with people the things that I've learned. And this is quite literally the first time that I would be sitting in front of someone and telling them about the incredible world of fragrance, the incredibly misunderstood world of fragrance, you know, the world of fragrance that's kind of been hijacked by brands and, you know, conglomerates for the purposes of, you know, making profits and businesses.
Good old capitalism.
Absolutely. It's a problem that's facing almost every industry that you would see, and this is just another one of them where they've taken a very noble science, you know, the science of healthcare, essentially, you know, a sunnah, and they've turned it quite literally upside down, and you know, they sell things, low quality products for high prices, and there's a lot of deception involved. And so I'm grateful to be able to clear up some of the misconceptions and share with people the secrets that are involved in this incredible science. So again, once again, thank you so much.
So many places where we can start, but again, for whatever reason right now, probably because it's sunnah, like you said, but frankincense, I've really been on a frankincense kick as of late. But to be honest, I've been on frankincense for a while now. I burn it in the incense stick form, which is probably not as well, I'm sure not as good as this, but for its air purification qualities, medicinally and also spiritually, I've been burning it for a long time. Can we touch on a little bit of the sunnah aspect of frankincense? What makes it sunnah?
So there are a very few aromatics that are explicitly mentioned in hadith literature that can be considered sunnah. One of them is frankincense, because there is a Sahaba, Ibn Zubayr, if I'm not mistaken, but wallahu alam, he used to burn a pound of frankincense on Fridays. Literally, the words mentioned in the hadith is a pound of frankincense or more. So on the day of Friday. So you can imagine about that much. That is how much they used to burn in one at one time. So
and it smells really, really good.
Absolutely.
I may be biased, but I love the smell of frankincense.
No, absolutely. Naturals have that effect. Natural aromatics in general tend to have that effect because of the way that they interact with the body, as opposed to synthetics. They're also very much in line with the fitrah of a human being. Because the human being, as he was created, enjoys good scent. Good scent is something that is it's a part of paradise. Good fragrance comes from paradise, and portions of it were put here on earth for us to enjoy and to kind of connect with that other realm, so that you familiarize with yourself and you kind of know what to look forward to. Agarwood is one of those aromatics that are sunnah, that are explicitly mentioned by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, also have been used extensively by the Sahaba, their successors and their successors till us sitting here today. Agarwood.
That's this one. Agarwood.
That is
the one I always forget the name of. Agarwood.
Agarwood is one of the names used. Aqualaria is a species of tree, that is the scientific name, and then there are many subspecies under it. So Aqualaria malacensis. This one specifically is Aqualaria malacensis. So this one comes from Malaysia.
And you were saying that it's a resin in it, or no?
Yes, it is a resin. So the aromatic part of oud is a resin that forms inside the tree. So a very interesting thing that I would mention. Since we're talking about secrets, and this is a secret sharing podcast, I would,
Yes. Give it up for the secrets coming out. As I was telling my little brother Salah, my little big brother, that I feel as though secrets come from fear. If you feel compelled to keep anything a secret, it's a fear-based like sensation.
Beautiful.
So
yeah,
we're not gonna be fearful of
Absolutely
anything during
not.
this podcast, and we're gonna share all of the secrets.
Inshallah, we'll try to open up as many secrets as we can. The way it is, Allah advises you on how to use these things in how you find them in nature. So musk is something that I will touch on later, but for now, since we're talking about agarwood, if you think about how to use agarwood or specifically how best to derive benefit from it. You see how the tree itself uses it in its own life and what its purpose is for the tree and how it helps the tree. So that kind of leads to the question of how exactly is it formed in the tree. Well, the way agarwood is formed is that there's a tree, the Aquilaria species, and again, this only is in the Aquilaria species of trees. So oud only comes from one specific tree, and it doesn't occur anywhere else.
So whether you have white oud or amber, it's all from the same tree.
There's no such thing as white oud, for one. That is a generic name that brands came out with. But there's nothing that is actually called white oud.
Oh,
so there's oud. Oud is the oil form of the wood. So you distill the wood into oil, and then that is oud oil. But in its natural form, it is a wood that's formed inside the tree. Once the tree gets damaged by natural circumstances, whether it's an ant that, builds its nest into the tree, or whether it's another animal that for whatever reason, hits the tree, and then at the point of damage, the tree starts to, it's trying to heal, basically, because it's been wounded and it's trying to heal, but it's on its way to dying. So think of it as a cut that you get cut, and then your body sends antibodies, and it forms a scab right over the wound to kind of protect yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for that, you'd get infected, you'd fall ill, and then you'd eventually die. The way the tree protects itself from this is that it forms resin oil at the site of damage, and that is what makes this resin particularly special. It's a way of the tree trying to stay alive. It's the scent of death. That's how I explain it to people. It's the scent of death. It's the smell of death. It's the smell of the tree trying to stay alive, and it's a way
heal itself,
trying to heal itself, trying to protect itself,
so that would
not
make sense.
further its damage.
Yeah, that would make sense of the natural healing properties
Absolutely.
of this, because it was literally created by nature for that purpose.
Absolutely.
Of self-healing, and we just take it and use it to...
That's exactly what we do. Is the way the tree uses it, we use it to heal ourselves. You smell it. It has, again, agarwood is one of those aromatics that has a multitude of health benefits, not just 1 or 5 or 10. It has many, many more. Many are you can't put into words. Again, the realm of sense is a very much a spiritual experience. Much of it is in the spiritual world. A lot of the experience lies in, like we were talking about earlier, and it's your intention and how you approach it, and it's really what makes your experience. And the more intentions you add to it, the more keen you are to understanding these things, the more they benefit you. The less keen you are, the less interested you might be, the less benefit you derive from it. So it's very much a spiritual experience. It's meant to serve as a reminder of death. It's meant to serve as a reminder of the afterlife that is to come very soon. And again, agarwood specifically in hadith literature is mentioned to be the fragrance of paradise. So when there's many descriptions that are given of paradise. It's something very interesting to think about, is like why we're given all these descriptions, right? You have rivers of honey and milk, things that you can relate to in this world. So you can, you read, okay, there's a river of honey or a river of milk. Then you actually see honey and you actually taste the honey, or you drink the milk, or you have rubies and pearls that you see, and you actually relate with them. You see them and experience them, and you kind of, even if it's just 8%, you kind of can get an idea of what it is that awaits you. Specifically with aromatics, it's one of those things where you can see it, smell it, touch it, feel it, and you know that this is what's waiting for you on the other side.
Yeah, I think that another beauty of it is it's so powerful. I think a lot of people won't be able to initially comprehend. You don't even have to necessarily apply it topically or even ingest it.
Correct.
All you have to, you just smell it.
Right.
That's it. And it has those healing properties just from smelling it.
Absolutely.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's super powerful
Absolutely.
in an age where you're given all of these pills to kind of remedy certain illnesses, and to think that something that comes from nature is so powerful that you just get a whiff of it and it could heal you. And then obviously, or maybe not so obvious to some, but that definitely, I would say, speaks to the spirituality side of it, or the unseen side of it, for sure.
Absolutely. You know, very interesting. The science of healing, you know, again, we live in the 21st century where you have pharmaceutical companies that give you these medicines, but you think about what did they do back in the day, right? When, at the Ottoman period, during the Ottoman period, they had a kind of therapy. It's called nature therapy. When you had people that were sick and had certain issues, what they would do is they would give them aromatics. They would burn incense around them, or they would give them rose to apply, or more so just send them into nature, into a forest, and they would just be around trees and flowers, and they would come back healed. It speaks to the incredible healing power that is contained within nature. You know, and again, pharmaceutical companies as well, a lot of the ingredients that they use in their medicines are derived from nature, you know, very much. Of course, a lot of them are synthetics again, that they, you know, compounds that they produce.
It's hard to even imagine that the synthetics don't come from nature, though. I would imagine that all of the synthetics even still had to have come from nature.
Absolutely. So they take the naturals and they tinker with the molecules. You know, that's something that, again, perfume companies do a lot, where they'll take a natural molecule and then they'll play with the structure of the molecule so that now that they can trademark it, because, you know, you can't trademark nature, but then you just move the molecule around a little bit, and now you can, now it's yours, and then, you know, you can claim it as your own, and then you can produce it to how much ever you want.
And you also mentioned to me yesterday when we first met, the fact that these companies, once they create these recipes, they don't even have to disclose
Correct. Right.
what's in
Absolutely.
the what's the ingredients that's inside of it, or the compounds that they created.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's this thing, it's called the fragrance loophole. It's very interesting. You can look at any product that you buy off the shelves, whether it's shampoo, lotion, perfume, like 100%. That's, you know, that's a given, that's what they do with perfumes. But again, even other products that you buy, it'll say fragrance. But when you look into it, you can Google this as well. Fragrance is not one ingredient. It could be 5, 10, 20, up to 50 different compounds put together to make that one fragrance note that's unique to that one product. And now, you know, they have a unique product, but what you don't realize is that there are many toxic ingredients put together, all mashed up together to make this unique scent that now that they can sell as like a in their lotion. And that's why their lotion smells unique, is because it's a combination of many different things. And in practically all cases, all of the ingredients are toxic, are known to be toxic. You can individually look up the ingredients. You'll find that there's websites that research these, and they'll mention them by name. This toxic, immunosuppressant, cancer-causing ingredients, and they're in pretty much everything.
Yeah, I feel like the immunosuppressant portion of it, and even the neuro suppressant agents, the carcinogens,
absolutely,
all of them are pretty much cancerous. All of these products,
absolutely.
That's wild. So I want to grab your box. If one of you can hand me that box of specialty stuff. And while we get that over here, if you can share with us one story of you using an aromatic to do whatever it is that you were intending to do, but a story that you could share where, for lack of a better phrase, let's say you got high on your own supply. How?
Oh, there's too many of those to mention. I'll mention it. I'll try to do what I can with this. So one of the things that's very interesting about the science of fragrancing, and by the way, the one that you're holding, is that
Privé?
That's the one. This one that you're holding right now, if someone was to ask me, what is one oil that you would, if you could let go of everything else, any other fragrance in the world, and you could have only one oil for the rest of your life, that one right there is it.
And we
that
have
one is it for me.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, a
Out
couple
of-
dozen.
Out of the
fragrances
200 that I have, even at home,
This is the one that called me.
This is the one for me as well. If I could use this for the rest of my life, I would. And if you just do that,
That's it.
that's it.
I ain't even open it.
You don't need to. I mean, but go ahead, open it and smell it. So this
Don't
one
even need to, like you said.
it's part oud, it's 50% oud, 50% rose. The combination, again, these are the two, the king and queen of the aromatic world, agarwood and rose. The Sufis talk about it. Everyone who knows what they're talking about knows that rose is one of the greatest aromatics in existence, and there's secrets to rose that would take a lifetime to really truly understand. But rose and agarwood individually are the best of aromatics. When you bring them together, it creates something that is beyond this world. It takes me personally to a place that I'm in heaven.
How would you? How do you say this whole name?
Melange Privé SQ. So this particular blend is by Ensar, is a brand, as a friend of mine. He's based in Jordan. He makes and sells these. I think this specific blend was made for Sultan Qaboos, the late king, I guess, or sultan of Oman, Sultan Qaboos. He was an avid fragrance person, and this one was, I believe,
And this
one
is
was made for him.
2 grams.
That full would be 2 grams, yes.
How much
two
does
or three.
2 grams of this go for, if you don't mind?
$1,400 US.
$1,400 for this size.
Correct.
Full.
Yes.
And when you bought it, was it full?
When I bought it, it was just under full, but basically yes.
So you used a lot of this.
Yes, I did. Absolutely.
Yeah, a little
And
bit more
there's no more of it, you know, because they produce, again, these things are produced in very small amounts as opposed to commercial fragrances. These things are produced in small batches, and once it's produced, that's all you have. Then you have a next version if they produce it, but if, again, you have to have the exact same source oils and the same exact proportion. And if it's off, then it's not the same thing anymore. You know what I mean?
I don't feel as though we got that juicy story yet of you getting loopy maybe off of these aromatics, or just going to another place that you wanted to, needed to go just from smelling one of these aromatics.
So I experience this every day on a daily basis, that it's very hard for me to bring to mind any one story, you know. Again,
What does it? Which one of these is the best for doing something like that, or is it just straight rose? Or
no. So I would say there's this one that I have. It's Cambodia #1 from Ensar. It's one of those oils that.
let me get some of that, because I need something to
Absolutely.
take off the edge for this.
It's one of those oils that get your
This is
head
very
spinning.
intimidating of a podcast. I'm back here sweating. Hit me. Can we get some for my guy? Come on. Everybody get, the audience
This
get
is
a little
one
bit
of those
this.
oils that get your head spinning. At least for me personally,
Yeah.
because once you really hone into it, these are one of those oils that will get your stomach turning, your head spinning in the right way.
And I'm naturally rubbing it in and all of that, but that's just habit. You don't even need to. You just, yesterday you hit me
Right.
with you hit me with a dab,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
said,
That's
just let it sit there.
yeah. Again. So there's perfume can be used in one of two ways. One is you wear it for other people, so you create this aura of good fragrance around you where other people smell it, they're having fun, you smell good. It's sadaqah for everyone. You're
They
really
say the angels love it.
Angels love it. Angels come and hug you. That's one of those things. Is a good fragrance
You said
brings
it much better.
They come around you and they quite literally hug you because of how good you smell. But then there's another way to use it where you don't apply it, and it's a purely psychological experience where you only smell it. Again, like I was telling you yesterday, most of these oils, if not all of them, I do not apply them at all because I don't need to.
It's not because it's $1,400
no,
for 2
it's
grams.
not. It's not out of my.
I'm just gonna smell this one.
It's
I ain't about to wipe this or nothing. I'm just gonna smell it.
this one right here. Purple Kinam from Ansar Oud. If you're watching this and if I've uploaded this, if this reaches the internet, you know what I'm holding right here. Purple Kinam goes for $5,000 for the 3 grams. So this is 1 gram, so that's very, very expensive. It's
so
one of those.
I don't need a dab of that, but I would like to get
I
a
wouldn't
whiff.
even open it.
I can't.
No, you can open it for us. Go ahead. Smell
Yeah, I just
it.
want to get a whiff.
Absolutely.
Purple Kina.
Purple Kinam
from Malaysia.
Absolutely, yes. One of Ansar's prized distillations.
Shout out to Ensar.
And Ansar's the man, yeah.
You need to come visit Ensar. Ooh, that's different.
Yeah. They're all so agarwood, actually very interesting. I can mention this is that no 2 trees will smell the same, no 2 distillations will smell the same. Every single time every oil smells completely different. Each tree is unique to the next one. Even though it's the same species of tree, it might be from the same jungle. It might be a tree right next to the next one, but they won't smell the same once you distill them because, you can imagine the tree is pulling in all these nutrients from the soil, and each tree is unique, and so it produces a very unique smell to it that, and then you have jungles all over, because agarwood grows in a specific region, although it is technically quite vast because on the easternmost side, it would start from India, parts of India, and then goes all the way to China, like the end of China. So it grows in a although technically it's still a specific region, this is the only place you'll find agarwood. It doesn't grow anywhere else. You can't grow agarwood in North America. You won't find any agarwood in North America, Australia, or any of these other regions. So it's been cultivated over the last many thousand years only in this specific region.
How long have you been studying all of this?
I would say between 3. Well, I've always been around agarwood. I was born and raised in Qatar, Doha, Qatar, and of course, Arab culture.
Is that where the World Cup just was?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and Arab culture very much uses, oud is very much ingrained into Arab culture. Not only do they heavily use agarwood to fragrance themselves, they use it as, like in gifting people, like they have chests of agarwood, which really cost many thousands of dollars. Like you could say $5,000 to $10,000 is what a case of agarwood that they gift to each other on weddings and things like that. So it's very much a part of Arab culture, and it's what I grew up around. So I've always been into it. I've always known about it, but I've really been studying it in detail the last 3 to 4 years.
In sourcing these oils from agarwood, would you say that it's really been like industrialized, or is it still traditional?
It has been industrialized. It has become a commercial phenomenon. Again, because of its
How has that
rarity.
affected the quality of the product?
A lot. It's, for one, over the last 3 to 4 years, there's this thing known as the China agarwood boom, where the Chinese market, it blew up in the Chinese market because, again, agarwood, as a rule of thumb, agarwood costs per gram more than gold. This is just how it is,
And has always been that way.
it's always been this way. Agarwood costs more than gold per gram. So it's always been used as a investment. Like it's very interesting. Many people buy oils, hold on to them, and then sell them much later for 3 to 4 times the price.
That's beautiful.
So yeah, it definitely, but it also has an adverse effect because now the market price of the oils overall has shot up, to ridiculous numbers. Now, these things should not cost $1,300-$1,400. Part of it is just, marking up oils. Really, these are naturals. There's a tree. You could distill it if you had a tree in your possession. There's no price to it. You just take it, distill it, and you have an oil. But it's this cost associated with having to distill, having to brand, market, things like that, which is why they cost this much. But overall, it's had a very negative impact, definitely.
And the quality of the product has drastically downgraded.
Yes and no.
Because you talked about the spiritual
Yes.
component of it. And anytime something becomes commercialized and industrialized, you kind of lose a lot of that.
So I would say yes and no because the ways to distill have gotten more advanced. So the traditional way of distilling, where you had a copper pot and you'd boil in a copper pot and you'd get a certain fragrance. Of course, back then the quality, the raw material quality was much higher. Now it's very hard to find that, but now you have plantations and you have more advanced ways of distilling these oils. So even if you have a lower grade wood that you would distill, let's say you distill it in glass, for example, like that's one of those new age things that many distillers are doing where they distill in glass, and it has a certain effect on the distillation where the oil that you get, it smells phenomenal. Yes. It has amazing effect. It has the full effect that you would get even from old oils.
That sounds cleaner, like a cleaner distilling process.
Absolutely, that's exactly what it is. It's a much cleaner distilling process. You retain the natural, not natural, I should say, the more, it's true to its smell in the wood,
Right.
The way agarwood is used is on coal. So you have a coal and you burn it, and there's a certain smell that you get. And most distillers try to stay as close to that as possible when they distill their oils because, that has always been the way of using agarwood. Agarwood oils are a very new thing technically in terms of agarwood appreciation because all through history, over the last 8,000 years, people have always burnt agarwood. They haven't distilled. Distilling oils is a very, very new thing that they started. I can't put a number on it, but
so I was going to ask you about the ceremonial use of it. So the ceremonial use of it would just be burning the wood. There's no really ceremonial oil utilization.
Not as much. I mean, nowadays they do that a lot because now you can avoid the whole, because you have to light a coal, then you have to burn it, and it's a more lengthy process. Whereas if you have oil, you just take the oil and you apply it. You have the full effect of the oil, so it's much more concentrated. The medicinal effect of the oil, of the wood, you get it's in a much more concentrated way through oil. Whereas with wood, it's not as much. It's a little less powerful, you could say.
Right. Can you recall what sent you on this journey 3 or 4 years ago? What made you really, really want to take that deep dive into it?
Yeah.
What was that?
That's a very good question. So, I grew up loving commercial fragrances. I remember I was in high school and I had a collection of perfumes. I had the big names, even the more niche ones, the higher end ones, I had them all. And I used to really enjoy them. I used to wear them for the same purposes that I would imagine anyone uses fragrance. Girls,
what was your favorite?
Good.
You was wearing Jupe?
No.
Curve?
No. They're
CK1? Michael Jordan?
I wouldn't say those are my favorites. I had them, but I wouldn't say they were my favorites. There are a lot. There's one from, I don't know how to pronounce it, St. Dupont. It's called Noir. It has a fancy black bottle. That was one of my favorites. 1 million, but 1 million was whatever. You know, Paco Rabanne 1 million is very famous. It's the gold.
Rabanne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot, but I grew up, I was very fond of these, but then just one day I was sitting thinking about it, and for one, I am allergic to these things, so I used to use them despite being allergic. I used to cough and I used to do all of these things, but I'd still wear them because it has an effect on the person in front of you. Like, they're impressed. These smells good. Wow, you know, it's this kind of way to appeal to people. You know, try to blend in with people, or more so even set yourself apart in a way, because now you're doing something that other people aren't doing, and so you kind of feel good about yourself.
I was assuming that the allergy came later, but you was actually on that beauty is pain situation. You was fighting through it.
I was fighting through it. I was it became an addiction, because, you know, once you start collecting things, you get 1, 5, 10, 20, and now you're just like, you're addicted to buying more despite whatever the harm is.
But every spray was painful.
Yeah, it was. Up until a point where I came to the masjid, and really I have to say, Brother Tamer Osman, who is my good friend and sheikh, and
shout out to Sheikh
Tamer,
Jami Masjid Buffalo.
He's the one, man. He's the one who really kind of pushed me in this direction where, you know, I looked into the naturals. I looked into the harms. They would make me sick, and, you know, I would have rashes, and I would, you know, I had asthma too growing up, so that was also in addition to the rashes and things like that. I was always dealing with a lot of things, and I would still use this, and I never really thought about what the alternatives might be. I never thought of it from a historic perspective, you know, because if you think about it from a historic perspective, everything falls into place. But I wasn't thinking about it like that. And then coming to Jami, you know, I had a few years, or at least a year solid, where I wasn't using perfumes at all, because I was just completely disinterested in them. What prompted that, I'm not sure, but I just pretty much stopped using them.
And this was as the IT guy, or as a student coming to Jami, or as a brother?
Well, this was when I moved here to work. I did start off at ECC, so I did come to study, and then I also got a job at Universal School. You know, I've been coming to Jami for quite a while now. The first time I was here was about 14 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was my first ever.
So you were since the beginning.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, when Jami opened its doors, I was definitely there. But I did leave. I was in India for a while. I spent my high school years of grades 11 and 12 in India. And then once I was done with that is when I actually moved here to live and study and work. That's when I came to Jami. And I didn't know what the alternatives were. All I knew was that fragrance and smelling good meant wearing synthetic perfumes. And then really the doors kind of opened up with oud is what I started with. And it's what I specialized in, is oud, and that is what I do specialize in even now, is oud specifically. Once I started wearing oud, it just made me disinterested in anything else that was out there. And then it started with one oil, you know. I wore it. I enjoyed it. It was very expensive when I got it at the time. It was as a funny story too. When I first bought my first oud, and then it's just the ball kept rolling since then. And then, you know, I got into it much deeper. Then I started looking into it from a scientific perspective and from like a healthcare perspective, holistic wellness. You know, what do these aromatics do in terms of how they actually benefit you, and not just, you know, as a cosmetic, because most people view fragrance as cosmetics. But to me, that is not at all the case. If anything, I don't use them as cosmetics at all, because, you know, my whole understanding of perfumery, first and foremost, is from the perspective of health and wellness and holistic well-being. And then the cosmetic part of it is more of like an add-on to that, where you feel good and then you also smell good. You know, there's a musician, feel good, smell good, I look good, I smell good, I feel good. You know who said that?
No, I don't know that one. I know Deion Sanders said you look good, you feel good, you play good, and he said he learned that from Jerry Rice. But I'm a football player, so that's the version of that I got. Nothing to do with the smells. But your entry point into all of this definitely was cosmetic, it sounds like, and then
Yes.
it evolved into the healing and the holistic
Right.
aspect of it. And we touched on that in the beginning of the episode. But story time. Let's hear that funny story about your first time purchasing oud.
My first time purchasing oud, once I actually, because again, I purchased oud before in my younger age as well, but not quite like this. This story, I was in Saudi Arabia. I was in, I believe it was in Medina, right? And there was this brand. It's a very well-known brand, Arabian oud. So I went up to them, and me being Indian, there's a lot of racism, not necessarily racism, but there's this aspect of, Arabs look up to other Arabs, but they kind of look down upon other cultures. And so
Prejudice.
there's a level of prejudice, there's a level of racism, there's a lot of different things. But so I'm in ihram, and ihram is where, well, I'm wearing the garments of ihram. I'm not in the state of ihram, but I'm wearing the two-piece white garment, and I go into the store, and I'm asking this person, to show me, what they have, because I'm interested in buying something that smells good, and so I just wanted to know what they have. And this person, clearly disinterested, he doesn't really want to entertain me, and so he's showing me the lowest end of oils and like the cheaper stuff, and I'm just not, that wasn't what I was looking for, because I had some idea of, because again, I've been into good fragrances my entire life, so going into here, I felt personally insulted because, this person wasn't giving me what I was looking for. And so I basically broke the question of like, what's the most expensive thing you have? And the person was clearly, he was like, no, this guy's not gonna do it, so just to get him mad, just to make him feel some kind of way, I told him, give me a bottle of whatever's the most expensive thing you have. And so he pulled out this one oil, and it smelled good. It was all right, by my standards now. It was whack. As my cheapest oil would be their most expensive oil.
It was basura.
Yeah.
Trash.
It was basically, yeah. Because again, like commercial, like really big companies, they just can't sell top quality products just because of the fact that they have such a big market, and they have to supply the same product across countries, across 500 different stores. So to have the same oil in a good amount in across all these is just impossible. So even their most expensive oil is like below average by my standard now at this
mid.
Yeah, it's mid. It's mid. It smells good, but smell good is not the standard, quality is the standard, and then how good it smells is kind of like a side thing, if that makes any sense.
Well, initially you would assume that smell would come first, but you're saying how it makes you feel.
Exactly, absolutely.
Is more important.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Is a lot of times, oh, that's Brother Tamer right there. That's the OG.
That's Big Shake.
That's the man. A lot of times,
somebody go invite him in.
Yeah, for sure. Do that. Go ahead. Do that.
when he returns?
Is it?
Okay.
Khair, inshallah. That's my man. I love him so much. I love him from the bottom of my heart. Yeah, you would think that, again, I try to convince these people, and this is where a lot of people have difficulty, because when it comes to agarwood, for example, right? Like when you try to get someone to buy agarwood, it does not necessarily smell as good as another bahur might. So they might incline to buying bahur even though it's cheaper because it smells better. But the whole idea of this is that you buy the natural, even if it smells not as good, even if it smells bad, but it has benefit, you do that rather than buying the amazing smelling stuff that is toxic for sure. Kind of very similar to medication, where you use medication because it is medication, not because it's delicious. Because if you go for the delicious stuff, it's not medication. It'll make you sick, like you eat candy. But medication doesn't taste good, but it has all these benefits to it.
And for the unknowing, bahur, what is bahur?
Okay, so bahur is the generic word for incense, but bahur is basically perfumed incense. So generally, brands make they source low quality wood, and then they add perfume oil to it. Now, when you burn this, that oil, that blend of oil, you smell that going up into the air, and for a few seconds it smells good, and that's the whole idea of bahur. Again, traditionally this was done with natural ingredients, where you had natural things, natural aromatics that they put together. But again, bahur is kind of, if you think of it in terms of blends, itar is the generic term for a perfume oil, but that is a blend of many different things. Generally, it was musk, sandalwood, oud, to list the main components, and then there's other aromatics that you add to it to make it better. But these are like the primary ingredients used to make blends, and that's known as etar. It's the same thing with bukhur, whereas like incense would be pure agarwood chips. Like you just agarwood by itself, that's one ingredient, but you put 3 or 4 different ingredients together, and that's when you get a bukhur.
And you get the oud from the agarwood tree.
Correct.
You get musk from the deer.
Yes, musk deer.
And the third one,
amber is ambergris, or ambergris is what the French term for it, or that's the term that's normally used, shortened to be called amber. That's another major aromatic. That's another one of those aromatics that are explicitly mentioned in hadith literature. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anhu used to perfume the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She used to apply musk and amber. Again, even amber is one of those. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned it explicitly. Amber is one of the best scents. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is that amber is the best of fragrances.
And where does amber come from?
So amber comes from the sperm whale. The sperm whale produces amber in its stomach. Again, this is a very interesting.
Like in its lower stomach?
No. So between its digestive tract, like its stomach, I guess you could say in its stomach. It doesn't pass all the way through. Sometimes, again, this is yet to be researched in detail because there's not a lot of studies done on it yet. I think this is an ongoing study. Even for me personally, I feel like I'm not 100% convinced of whether it comes out from the backside, but I know for a fact that it comes out from the front.
We were all assuming, because we were talking about this off camera during the break.
Right,
we were all
correct.
assuming that the amber that comes from the sperm whale came from the front.
It does come from the front. That is what is the generally understood. That is the general understanding of where amber comes from.
And I was just trolling by asking for the lower stomach.
Right.
But I want to hear a little bit about the effects of these 3 different scents, because one comes from trees or plants, and the other two come from animals. Do they have the same or very similar or very different effects when you smell them or when you use them aromatically?
Very different, for sure. Like I mentioned earlier about the secret of how Allah advises people on how to use these things, just the way it is with the agarwood tree, it is very, very similar with regards to musk and ambergris as well. In terms of musk, so the way the musk deer uses the musk, right? How does the musk deer use the musk? The male musk deer is musk comes from male musk deer. Female musk deers don't have this particular gland. The musk is basically grains of an aromatic that is contained inside of a sac. Now, what the musk deer does is that it takes the sac and it rubs it on the ground or on the trees, and it basically spreads this fragrance around. Each musk deer has a unique aroma.
So when you say the sac, it's a gland that's located on the exterior of the male deer.
Yes, at the bottom side, close to where, basically on the underbelly side of the musk deer. It's a sac. It's porous, so I don't want to call it sweat, but the
hormone,
the fragrant. It's not a liquid either, because it's not a liquid that comes out, but that sac becomes very perfumed because of what is contained inside. So I guess I wouldn't say hormone either, but
it sounds like either. But it has it's used in the same way that it's a pheromone, like
yes, yeah, basically, not like a oud. Oud would be. Is that what you said? Oud?
No, well. Generally, you hear of pheromones coming from the female of a species, but I'm assuming that maybe, and this is me not really knowing, maybe it could be used both ways, and maybe males can secrete pheromones as well. Yes. But it sounds like it has that effect, and they use it as a pheromone.
Correct. That is exactly what it is. Is that the exact process of how the actual fragrance comes out of the gland is yet to be fully understood by me. But the fragrance is present on the sac, but the actual aromatic part of it is inside the sac. So this sac then gets rubbed on the floor of the jungles, on trees, and it spreads this in a specific area. And then again, each deer has a unique scent of it according to its DNA and what it eats.
So no two musks will smell the same?
No two musks will smell the exact same. Certain species and certain regions that they come from might smell very, very similar, but the female deer can tell them apart, because that's the female deer then goes around and smells these different males' fragrances, and then the one that it likes the most, that's when it selects as a partner, and then they procreate, and then their species go on. But
so this white musk that I've been hitting myself with fresh out the shower every day came from deer sac?
No, it didn't.
Oh, okay.
No, it didn't. It definitely didn't, because these are synthetics. There's no such thing as white musk. That is, again, a generic term that people came up with to be able to sell their products, basically. And again, the white musk smells basically like baby powder, or like something along those lines, where it smells soft and very light and beautiful. But real musk does not smell like that. If
Gotcha.
real musk is people can't handle real musk. I have some real musk that I can show you, or even if there's
Is
a
it
musk.
in here?
No, it's not in here, unfortunately. I have just a few grains. Inshallah, and very, very soon, the masjid is planning on buying a musk pod. Again, musk pods are very expensive. It's about $800 for a pod. I'm not sure why I don't have one, just so I can show people. But musk pods are very, very raunchy smelling. They're very strong. They're very pungent. I don't want to be disrespectful and say that they smell like poo, but they smell like poo. Basically, it's the easiest way I can describe it to someone so that they can relate it to what something else.
But that poo scent drives the female deer or the does wild.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
The way so there's a way to process it in a way that it smells good, because it's a matter of balancing. So once you have this deer gland and you extract the grains from it, then you have to macerate it in sandalwood or another oil until you get rid of the very strong animalic part of it, but you have the sweetness and the most amazing scent. And inshallah, tomorrow I have a perfume that I have at home that I will bring to you that showcases very close to what real deer musk pods smell like and used to smell like back in the day after they had been processed. Because again, if you smell a musk pod by itself, you won't be able to stand it. It's an unbearable scent.
Inshallah.
But inshallah, I will show you what it's like tomorrow. Even you guys, I'll bring it to the masjid tomorrow and I'll show you. It's very nice. It's amazing. But an actual musk pod is out of this world. It's very similar to ambergris, where if you smell raw ambergris, you wouldn't be able to handle it. It's so strong, and it's so it's unbearable. Basically, that's the easiest way I can describe it to you. It's an unbearable scent, but it's only after processing, and it's only after like balancing it out with other aromatics that you get a way where you get to really enjoy it. And that's how they did it back in the day.
Right. Speaking of balancing and blending these different smells and fragrances and aromatics together, we have a couple blends on showcase that you grabbed while we were on break, and you discussed how you're getting into mixing them yourself. But these are some mixes from what's our brother in Jordan's name? Ensar.
Yes.
So these are some Ensar blends. You want to go through a little bit of these and share these with us?
Sure thing. So this one is my latest acquisition. This one right here was my first ever Ensar Oud perfume purchase. I met up with him in New York City. There was an event. Well, not him. His team came out to New York City and they had an Oud Fest. And
Oud Fest
is basically they showcase all of what they have, and then you can go through them, and then whatever you like, you buy. This is one of those ones that appealed to me the most.
How do you say that? Is it Chiara?
Chiara
Coco.
Yeah, so Chiara is a grade of agarwood. It's the topmost grade of agarwood. It's so if gold is, what is the gold price now? About $60 a gram, give or take. Chiara would be about $1,000 a gram. So Chiara is a very, very expensive.
So far, that's my favorite.
Yeah, it's very nice. It's beautiful. Definitely Chiara Coco. So that one specifically has vetiver. It has agarwood. It has musk, sandalwood, and that's just 4 out of maybe another 5 or 6 ingredients that went into there to put it together.
I just gave it to y'all to smell. Y'all over there, $200 a spray. Can't take y'all nowhere.
Yeah, $600 a bottle.
Let's. I want to jump on this. Yunnan
2003. This was my latest acquisition. He came out with a very micro batch.
Limited edition.
I'm
class of 2003. We're in 2023 right now. It's our 20th anniversary. So this one jumped out to me.
It's amazing. Again, sound like a brother Tamer?
Sheikh Tamer, yes sir. Welcome, Sheikh.
Come join us, brother Tamer.
I know you guys are doing some work outside. I just gotta come through and grab some chairs. Some ladies want to sit outside.
Yeah,
It's good quality, mashallah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sheikh. You want to come say hello? Oh,
We got to get you in front of the camera to introduce you.
You know what I see? Oh, Lord.
so Yunnan 2003. Yunnan
Yes.
2003.
Yeah. So Ensar had an oil that he was selling. It was called Yunnan '03. So this is an so he has a brand and then an elite version of his more prized oils, and he calls that Orascent. So he turned it into a separate brand in itself, and these are his more expensive oils. So he put a large amount of that oil into this particular blend. A lot of what you're smelling is that one specific agarwood oil, but again, if you look at the ingredient list,
Yeah, I was gonna let you read that because a lot of that I can't pronounce.
yeah, so Sinensis oud. So again, so this was Aquilaria malacensis. This is what's found generally in the Malaysia region. In China, the predominant strain of agarwood that you would find is Aquilaria sinensis. So it's a species under the Aquilaria umbrella, and then
That one's strong.
it's definitely very strong. It's actually one of the lighter ones compared to in terms of potency. If you want a strong one,
I don't want a strong
I
one
have a very strong one for you right
because
here.
that was strong to me.
You know, I mentioned ambergris. Actually, this is one of the only blends that I have with me that actually has a good amount of ambergris in it. So if you smell this, it's gonna be strong. And
So
there's-
this has well sperm in it. I mean sperm well in it.
no.
Oh no, that's the amber.
Yeah, amber, but it's
What's agargy? Is it agargy?
agarwood. So ambergris.
Amber.
Amber,
That's
amber,
ambergris.
amber, short for ambergris. It comes from the sperm whale.
Oh, that's
but
what I said. It has sperm well in it. This has sperm well in it.
sperm whale, not byproduct. I don't even want.
If it's
know what-
sperm well byproduct, it's sperm well.
basically,
Right.
sure. It has a good chunk of ambergris in it, and you wouldn't smell it straight up because it's blended with a lot of things. But there's
No, I smell it.
ambergris has a very specific pungent smell to it.
All right,
That
we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll come right back when I'm done sniffing the sperm well.
for sure. I actually have some ambergris extract in oil form at home. I'll bring some of that as well for you to try, inshallah, so you can get an idea of what it smells like in its most natural form. Ambergris. It's very interesting. It's very potent. It's very, very strong, and
Yeah.
It's a very animalic scent. I really don't even have the right words. It stirs something on your inside. I just don't have the right word. Like raunchy. If you have an idea of what raunchy kind of means, it's a very raunchy smell. And that's ambergris for you. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, and we're back from break, and we're gonna jump into this last perfume blend from Brother Ansar, and this is Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka, yes.
Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka is based on a Sri Lankan oil. So again, agarwood is found in quite a few regions. One of the regions where that's most famous in terms of agarwood is Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is just another name for Sri Lanka.
That's an island off the southern tip of India.
Correct, yes. It's where Adam, peace be upon him, is said to have descended. Sri Lanka. It's a place with tremendous beauty, tremendous flora and fauna. You know, one of the most beautiful places in the entire world, Sri Lanka, and it's also one of the places that has the best agarwood in the world. Sri Lankan agarwood is known to be some of the best agarwood, and this blend is based around this profile of Sri Lankan agarwood, because Sri Lankan agarwood is generally it's time to Sri Lankan agarwood is where it's very green. It's a very green blue smelling agarwood. So again, you would differentiate between different agarwoods by their profile. Certain ones are much darker. Certain agarwood oils are much lighter, but this is one of those ones that smell very much green blue. And so what Ansar tried to do with this perfume is he made it a more fresh and floral smelling blend around the idea of Sri Lankan oud being a more fresh type of profile when it comes to agarwood oils.
Gotcha. So that was some blends from Brother Ansar, and I look forward to sharing and highlighting your blends once you get a couple completed for us or me or we.
They're in the works, inshallah. Very soon we'll have something that we can put out for people to buy, inshallah.
So we're definitely going to have to do a part 2, inshallah. And to wrap this episode, I want to come full circle and end on the frankincense. So if you could just wrap this up by sharing with us a little bit of information on this high quality, high grade frankincense that you have, and some ways to utilize it, and if in that you can include chewing on it as well.
Absolutely.
I just want to share some valuable information with the people that I am gifting these vials to.
Absolutely. So again, frankincense comes from the boswellia tree. Frankincense has been used, again, for many, many thousands of years. It's known that the sages or the magi gifted baby Jesus when he was born with frankincense and myrrh. You know, frankincense and myrrh are the two resins that are burned across churches all around the world. You know, even till today, in their ceremonies and in their rituals, they use frankincense to burn in their churches. Frankincense is found in many different regions. Two of the most famous ones are Ethiopia, Somalia. Sorry, not two, three. Somalia is one of the best known, and the second, the best known would be Oman. Oman is where they have the highest grade of frankincense. So this specific one is green hojari. Hojari, I'm not sure where the name hojari comes from exactly, but that is what they refer to as a grade of it. Green is kind of because of the color that it's formed and is found naturally. So these specifically, as opposed to the Somali frankincense, these Omani tiers of frankincense, that's what they're known as, tiers, a tier of frankincense as it comes out of the tree. These contain far more oil content, aromatic oil content, as opposed to other ones, and it's the reason for them being very high in their medicinal properties because of how much oil they have. And also because this specific one that I have is very fresh. It was harvested less than 2 years ago, so there's still a great amount of oil in here. As the oil content eventually evaporates, the tears tend to get harder and they crumble more, but when they're fresh, they're more sticky. And then as soon as you eat them, they kind of become very, very soft and chewy. Most frankincense is not like that, where if you eat it, it'll crumble, and you would have to really chew it to kind of get it to a more chewing gum consistency. But this stuff, as soon as you put it into your mouth and you give it a little bit of warmth, and as it mixes with your saliva, it softens. The oil starts coming out immediately, and it becomes very, very easy to chew on. Or even if you just leave it in your mouth, the oil slowly comes out, and you know.
And what can that do for you?
So frankincense is known to be anti-inflammatory. When eaten, again, consuming it orally is one of the best ways to harness its medicinal properties. Anti-inflammatory is one of the major ones. Anti-cancerous, it helps with anxiety. Uh,
And you could chew it and swallow it.
You can chew it, you can swallow it, you will have no issues at all. A lot of times, if you buy frankincense off of the internet, a lot of times they don't sell natural frankincense. For one, it's processed frankincense. Many times I've been duped into buying frankincense off of the internet, and I bought some from Amazon just to try, and it was clear that it wasn't genuine frankincense. So for one, it's very important for you to know where you're buying from and to be sure that it actually is genuine natural frankincense. Yes.
All right. So again, thank you. That just wrapped part 1. We're gonna come back for part 2, inshallah.
Inshallah.
And we're gonna get in here and eat a little bit of food before we begin to fast.
Absolutely.
And
Inshallah.
brother, thank you again.
Thank you, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
No, the pleasure was all mine. I look forward to the
Jazakallah khair.
next one. Thanks for joining us, and please tune in for the next one, part 2 of the master class. It'll be much more information. That was a wealth of knowledge right there that Brother Asad presented. So see you again. Thanks for tuning in. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.